Peace, family. Here I go with my car chronicles again. I can't seem to find too much peace and solace in too many places besides my car. So why did I leave the church? So for me, I don't know. It was a bit of a journey. I'm gonna share as much as I can in as short amount of time as possible. So uh, for me, the church, I didn't leave my creator, but I definitely left the church. I'm good. Why? Because for me, I can't speak for nobody else, but for me, the church is bullshit and it kept me broke. That's why I left. And I was raised in the church. I am what you would maybe consider a preacher's kid. So, the moment I came in this world, I should say shortly after, in my childhood, church was programmed into me by my mother, my family. It was just automatic. You went to church. I was raised in a church. We went to church every Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, youth group, all this other stuff, all my life. And I remember always saying to myself, I can't wait till I get 18. Because as soon as I turn 18 and my mother yell up these steps and ask me if I'm going to church, I'm going to be like, hell no. I couldn't wait to be like, nope, and I ain't. So I was always one of those kids where I was told to shut up a lot. I talked adult things. I said a lot of mature things that most children were not expected to know, pay attention to, or observe. So a lot of adults in my environment didn't like that, right? When the child that's 10 years old, 11 years old tell you about yourself and they speak the truth, it's a little off-putting to some adults. And I come from the area, the era of, children are to be seen and not heard, right? So I was told to be quiet a lot because I had a different wisdom about me as a child that most kids didn't have, right? So, I asked questions a lot too. I asked questions that most children were not allowed to ask, and I truly wanted answers to this stuff, But I did the church thing growing up. When I got 18, I was like, nope, I ain't going. But when I went to college, the college I went to, which was Shaw University, I only went for 2 years. It was a college that was kind of like their specialty at the time was like physical therapy and theology. So when I got to college in Raleigh and was sorely pissed that a part of my first semester curriculum was going to church. They made you go to church. So I was like, oh shit, I thought I got away from this stuff. You know what I'm saying? But anywho, so, life goes on. I'm continuing to go to church because, again, that's all you know. That's all you know to do. Nothing else has been introduced to you. You feel me? So, you do what you were trained to do as growing up. Got married, had some kids, got divorced, just life happening, and then it got to a point around, I don't know. There was just a point where I remember going to church a lot. I was in ministry. I actually taught children's ministry for like 3 years at a very large mega church here in Cleveland. I taught a children's ministry on Tuesdays. So, I was always in church. And I had a fellow elder actually come to me in the church. And she said, well, you're always here. You are so dedicated, but I want you to be careful with this. She was like, don't have these kids in church all day, all week like this. They need a regular life too. And I was just like, huh. Somebody in the church just told me not to come so much, but she was right. You know what I'm saying? I was out of balance. You know, we were always there, so I was dragging my sons and, you know, my kids with me. And so, but, you know, she was right. You know, I was like, yeah, let me, you know, chill out. I was like, church became my life, my everything, you know, and I wasn't living a regular life no more. So, you know, I backed up a little bit, but then it got to a point where I would go to church and I would feel like I felt like I wasn't growing anymore. Like I felt like I had reached a plateau or something of understanding on their level. And my understanding of God, my understanding of Jesus was different. You know, I realized that even when I was growing up, there was a lot of hypocritical things going on that I didn't understand. You know, adults was telling me don't drink, don't smoke, you know, don't have sex before you're married, don't do all this, but yet they was all doing this. They was doing it. And I was like, how the hell, you know, I was a kid, like, how the hell you gonna tell me God don't want me to do this and that, but you doing it? Like, no, you gotta show, like, I've always just naturally been the kind of person where I'm looking at with the actions. I don't care about what you're saying. Let me see what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Your words ain't matching. There's no way you can teach me and tell me not to do this and that because God says so, but you're doing it. You know, so I grew up around a bunch of hypocrites. You know, the church I grew up in, I seen a lot of adults doing a lot of things that their Bible tells them that they shouldn't do. So that was one thing. Like, I just always felt out of place. Like, why isn't anybody dealing with the truth up in here? You know what I'm saying? I was like 12 and 13 feeling like that. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? These people, they fake. They fake as hell, you know? So when I started doing ministry as an adult, I wanted to be that one who wasn't fake. Like, I wanted to actually live what I was teaching. And I did that to the best of my ability. But then I hit another plateau of understanding, and I'm just like, okay, so I'm actually studying Christ. Like, I've been in this all my life. You know, I'm reading books. I go to the library on my own. You know, I buy books, I study, I research, I read my word. I done read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation at least 4 times in my entire life. Okay? There's nothing you can tell me that I don't know about the word. But it was like I was getting a different understanding of it. I'm like, these people, I'm talking about old people too, they don't know God. Like, they speak of God and Christ. They preach about it, they talk about it, but they don't actually know. They have never taken the time to get to know God for themselves. And one thing my mother used to tell me, and she, you know, being in ministry, you know, for so many years, and, you know, she's passed on, but she used to always say, April, always know God for yourself. Learn that word for yourself. I don't care who your pastor is, what church you go to. Don't ever let anybody tell you about your relationship with God. You gotta, that's personal. And I was like, yeah, you know, you're right. And she kind of was started to wake up to some things as well, around that time. So my understanding of Christ and God was just different. I'm like, I would walk into church and I'd be like, you know, Jesus, these people don't really know you. You know what I'm saying? When I walk in, as soon as I come to the front door, there's tables set up with books and tapes and this everywhere. And, you know, they selling t-shirts and this person selling jewelry and it, like, what the fuck is going on in here? And, you know, Jesus, if they truly knew who you were, they wouldn't do this. This is the very thing you didn't like. Jesus hated this kind of stuff. Didn't you hear, wasn't y'all preaching the scriptures about, you know, the people selling the doves at the table and Jesus come in and he turned over the table? You know what I'm saying? Because he like, you know, this is y'all making this, y'all trying to make money. This is supposed to be a house of prayer. Like, what is going on in here? Like, he hated that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? The Pharisees and Sadducees, when they sit down, they had all these rules and regulations and bylaws of, you know, you got to wash your hands before you eat, you got to do this and this. And Jesus hated that kind of stuff. He was like, what do you mean? Like, all our hands is dirty right now. Just eat. You know what I'm saying? What's all this extra? And so I'm realizing, like, these people and, you know, our elders don't even know him. They just speak about, they're being led. They're just following. They don't truly know. Nobody's actually taking time to study outside of the word as well. There's other books that are available, besides the Bible that you can read to couple to your Bible. And I'm realizing a lot of people don't do that. They take those Sunday sermons, they take them few scriptures, and they just run with it. And they think they're living this holy life that God and Jesus would be pleased with. But in actuality, it turns God's stomach. Like, these people have no love. They have no power. No, none of those things. You know, and I learned that there's some people in this world that need to believe in something. And there's people in this world that just need to know. You know, people that need to believe, they're quick to follow. They don't have no problem following. And that's okay. We need followers. But then there's another set of people who are natural born leaders. And those people need to know. You can't just tell me to believe this and that. I got to know why. I need to know the why behind it. It has to make sense. You know, and the church will attempt to blind you into not looking further and say, hey, you know, you just got to go by spirit. You just got to have faith. It's no, some things ain't going to make sense. No, that's bullshit. Everything can make sense. If you're telling me that I am made in his image, I carry the very ruah, the very breath of God within my body, then what the hell do I need you for? Why do I need to come here every Sunday for you to tell me about my relationship with my God? Then that means I don't need you. Why am I losing money? Why am I giving you money when I could be investing into my own family? You know what I'm saying? You're sitting up here preaching and selling me hope, and I'm giving and giving and giving. You're living well, but I'm still struggling. Some ain't adding up. It's not adding up. And I will walk in certain, you know, churches, and I'm like, there's no love here. I don't feel love. I feel rules. I feel regulations. I don't feel love. So I began to do even more research. I've been studying theology since about 2007. So I've studied it for years. I've read over 200 books. I think I'm about 213 books on religion and things like that. And so I started asking questions. You know, it started with Christmas for me. And I remember, you know, after I studied some things in theology regarding Christmas, the history of it, where it comes from, blase skip. First of all, there was no African Americans nowhere to be found. Second, okay, so this makes sense. But if these preachers have studied theology, like I'm assuming they have, why are they perpetuating this lie? Why are they not telling people the truth of Christmas? Why are these pastors electively continuing to preach a lie? And the lie is they're only giving you bits and pieces, which is called a lie of omission. If you're purposely and intentionally leaving out important information that people need to make an informed decision, that is called a lie. It's a lie of omission, okay? Why are they still doing this? Oh, thank you. Thank you, universe. Because lies make money. The truth don't bring money. If they tell you the truth, it's going to empower you to do things for yourself, and you don't need them anymore. It could be just you and God. You don't need the church. It could be just you and God. And that's not going to make them any money. They're going to have to find another way to live good. They can't live off you no more. Oh, that's what it is. I got it. All right, cool. I see it. But what I won't be doing is participating in this Christmas madness, because when Christmas time come around, everybody go crazy. Oh, it's, you know, the Savior's birthday, blah, blah, blah. And you spend all this money, you put yourself in horrible debt to make all this stuff happen for Christmas, for Jesus. And then when that day, it comes and goes so fast, you broke. Now you're trying, like, I remember, you know, when I was married, going ham during Christmas time for my kids. Me and my ex, because we was programmed, we was brainwashed. We were just doing what we were taught to do. And then when Christmas was over, we would be struggling with our bills, you know, facing eviction, just money. It would take us to like March to get our footing back from Christmas. And then we started heavily dependent on tax return money. You know, it was just stupid. And I'm just like, God, this don't feel good. This cannot be you. If this is it truly your will for me to be in debt like this for your birthday? Is it truly your will for me to feel this much guilt and oppression and pressure and depression to perform for people for your birthday? Because I could have sworn I read a scripture that said that I am the head and not the tail. I'm above and not beneath. I am the lender, not the borrower. Something's not adding up here. So which one is it? Okay? Oh, because it's some man-made stuff. Got it. Shut Christmas down. Yeah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. You know, if I can get something, fine. But, you know, like when you go to work situations, everybody don't understand what you understand. So sometimes because of society and you gotta you just gotta blend in sometimes. You know, you buy what you can. But as far as my household, no, we don't go out of our way to put Christmas trees up. And I'm saying, you know, once in a while I'll put a tree up just to give my kids that experience. But they do understand something else. When Christmas comes around, they're not asking for nothing. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad I raised them that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do for my children all year round. I reward them all year round. I buy them things just because, you know, I honor birthdays. I honor jobs well done. So by the time Christmas comes, if they don't have this, they don't care. Because I've either already done it, or again, I did not instill that into them. There's no way you can tell me that this is what Christ would want for you to do to yourself for his birthday. People open up accounts. They get credit cards just for Christmas. But you've been jumping up, turning around, high-fiving your neighbor for all year about financial release and financial increase. But then when Jesus' birthday comes around, you throw all that shit in the toilet? Are you sure that's what he would have wanted you to do? No, that don't sound right. So it kind of started there for me. Another level came when I was just sitting in church. And the pastor said, everybody with $100 come to the front. We're going to pray for you. We're going to make sure you get your miracle, you get your blessing. So at this time, I was in transition from Columbus to Cleveland. I had a new baby, my other two sons. And I didn't have nothing in my pocket but $5. And I said, I've been faithful to this ministry for 3 years. I come here 3 times a week. Sometimes I come here on the bus, because at the time I was just moving back. I didn't have a car. I was still looking for work. Single mother, newly divorced with 3 children. So you mean to tell me, because I don't have $100, I don't get mines? I don't get my blessing today? I don't get prayed for like this today with that same passion and energy because I don't have $100? You mean to tell me my $5 can't get me in? Man, you got me fucked up. No, that ain't how that works. That don't even sound right. How dare you single out people like that? You don't know what people is going through, okay? So that was a turn off right there. It was starting there like, okay, this just, nah, man, this ain't adding up. This is a business. This ain't, nah, So then I started doing more research on other things, studying tithes and offerings, studying the Levites. You know, I did a lot of Old Testament reading. I ordered a copy of the Torah, which is the original Old Testament. It took me 2 months to get it, because it's kind of, sometimes it's hard to get. I studied it, I read it. I was like, wow, okay, all right, this is, yeah, no, we good. So the tithing thing, you know, I had to learn even with that. If you at a church and your pastor is talking about you got to pay your tithes because we got to pay these light bills and we got to keep the doors of the church open, let me tell you something. You being hustled. You being hustled. And you can stay there and keep letting these people take your money while you making them rich, and they keep letting you, you know, they selling you this false ass hope. Go right ahead. But I tell you what, money is energy. You're not going to get another ounce of mine. All right? Because what I understand and what I know and what's been revealed to me is originally the tithes and offerings was created by the Levites. And it was created so that the widows in the town would be taken care of when they lost their husbands. The poor would be taken care of. The storehouse where they brought food as a form of their 10% was to take care of the community members that could not take care of themselves. So your church should have two streams of income. If your church is paying bills out of the tithes and offerings, guess what? You being played and your church is broke. Okay? I don't want to belong to no church that's broke, because I'm looking for prosperity. What's at the head gonna fall to the rest. Your church is broke. Your pastor is broke, so you gonna stay broke. That's how that's gonna go. If you go to a church and you're having trouble with your light bill, or you having financial trouble and your church can't help you, and you've been tithing, they can't even give you your money back to help you, you better wake the fuck up. Seriously. The church is supposed to have two streams of income. If the church can't afford to have two streams of income, then the church can't afford to be standing. You feel me? How the hell is your church lights on but yours ain't? Does that make sense to you? This is what organized religion does. It takes away your ability to think for yourself. Okay? Organized religion, it's a no-go for me. I'm a spiritual person. Spirituality, yes, that's all me. And when you become spiritual, you understand something different. That, you know, if a person, let's say somebody's born in a part of Asia where the religion, the indigenous religion in that area is Taoism or Daoism. That's the indigenous religion in that area. So they don't know anything else. They don't know Jesus. They don't know none of that. You mean to tell me when this person is born, they're already at fault? You mean to tell me when this person is born, if they never get to hear about Christ, they going to hell? You can't possibly believe that. There's people around this. There's people all over the world. Okay, for whatever reasons, Christians seems to think that everything revolves around them. But there's people all over this world. Okay, and some people are not born into that. But you can't tell me this person's going to hell because they was born into their own culture. That's bullshit. That's not how God is. I don't know what God you talking about, but that's not God. Okay, it's not Jesus either. You know, Jesus is not even a literal person. It's a consciousness. It's an energy. Christ is a type of a consciousness. It's a way of thinking. So, yeah, no. You know, and for a lot of African Americans, all we know is Jesus because we couldn't read and write. Think about the time of slavery. When slavery was going on, what else was going on in the world? There was other things going on the globe besides slavery. Okay, there was other religions going on. There were other wars. There was other things happening, but we couldn't see past that because we couldn't read and write. So we had to take what was given to us, and Christianity was being given to us. Okay, and it was at the point where Christianity was actually starting to spread. So I recently did a class. I took a world religion class. So I've studied Christianity, its origin. I've studied Confucianism, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, Voodoo, Candomblé, Santeria, Wiccan, studied all that. And so what I do know is when you truly do research too for yourself, Christianity wasn't for us. That's not where us as black people even started at. It was given to us. Christianity brought politics into Judaism. And that's how Christianity was born. That's how you got bishops, people with titles. It became political. And that political mission went all around the world. But it was politics that brought Christianity on the scene. But prior to that, it was true just man and God, okay, through Judaism. So, it was just too much that was just not making sense. And I'm just like, yeah, no, this is defying all logic. Like, this is just plumb dumb. And I'm like, I'm praying for this. I'm giving this money. I remember Juanita Bynum came to Cleveland one time, and I didn't have a home. I was staying with my mother, again, still transitioning back from Columbus. And, you know, I needed a house. I'm sleeping on the mattress with my kids in my mother's living room, and I gave this woman $500. And I realized nothing happened after that. And I said, you know what, that was the dumbest thing ever. Then at that point, I realized that pastors and preachers, they're taught to, there's a method, there's a formula to raising an offering. There's a certain way you speak to people. There's a certain way you seduce people and get them in their emotions, and it makes them give. I said, oh, wait a minute. She actually just manipulated my emotions. That wasn't a real, okay, damn. She just took my $500 and I'm still sitting here homeless. Does this make any sense, Lord? No, it doesn't. Because what you need to do is take that $500 and bless yourself. Help yourself. Quit buying all this fake ass hope and get up and help yourself. If God is who he say he is and God is in you, then that means you got the power to do everything that God can do. God has already given you the power to do these things. You sitting up waiting on somebody else still to do it for you. Get up and do it. When I was studying Jesus, I noticed there's a period of his life that I can't find. And I asked somebody in church, I said, why is it that when you study Christ, he seems to disappear between the ages of 13 and 29? We hear about Jesus' birth up to age 12 when he taught in the synagogue, when he was 12 years old. Then all of a sudden there's nothing else about Jesus until he reaches the age of 30. Then he's crucified at age 33. So what happened to him? I've heard some scholars and theologians say that his teenage years, they didn't want to discredit him, so they left those years out. But to me, that's even bullshit, because if you're trying to minister to teenagers, if you're trying to minister salvation in Christ to teenagers, why wouldn't you want them to have somebody to relate to? So why would you leave his teen years out? Don't sound right. In the beginning, Adam and Eve had 3 sons, not 2, Cain, Abel, and Seth. But then when Cain killed Abel, we left with Cain and Seth. But then they said that Cain went off and had wives and all this stuff. Where those other people come from? Nobody can answer that. Only thing that truly makes sense is that he slept with his mother. Seth had sex with Eve. Here's the next part of humanity. Because if you're telling me it's Adam, Eve, and they were sons, where's the woman at? Where did they come from? It's too much left out. I've located and actually ordered and read books of the Bible that have been left out. Mary Magdalene had her own book. But why did they leave that out? Because back then, women did not have any rights. So scholars did not feel that they felt putting Mary Magdalene, what she had to say in there, or the accounts of what she had to say, would empower women too much. Because she was, the story is Christ pretty much imparted his anointing into her, and he showed her how to work it. But if women would have got a hold to that back then, women would have been too empowered, and men didn't want that, because most organized religion is patriarchal. Okay, it's masculine. He, right? Most organized religion do not give credit to the divine female. So they left her book out. Peter had a third book of his accounts of hell, and he was basically saying heaven and hell exist now. We create our own heaven and hell. Heaven and hell is not a literal place. It's a place that you put yourself in certain karmic cycles in life. But it's all your choice of what you choose to manifest. You can manifest your heaven, you can manifest your hell. It's up to you. You know what I'm saying? I've been in hell, I've been in heaven. Those things exist now. They left that out, because if they put that in there, it would take away too much fear. And organized religion need people to fear going to hell, fear not going to heaven, to keep them under control. Okay, you cannot control people if they don't fear you or fear it. You have to create fear in order to create control. There's a section in the book of Numbers that actually tells you how to go to war. They left that part out because, again, religion wants you to be docile. You know, they want to keep going with that turn the other cheek thing. And real talk, Jesus wasn't even like that. Jesus, you know, again, was a consciousness, but they put it in the form of a person so you can understand it. But Christ was nowhere near like that. He just knew. That energy just knows when to fight back and when to shut the fuck up. That's all. That's all that was really saying. Like, black people especially, we took religion too far. We took it too literal. We took it too far. And it's the be-all, end-all, because during slavery it was given to us. We couldn't read and write, so we didn't know what else was going on in the world. We didn't know that there was other things available. We didn't know that there was people in Asia being Hindus. We didn't know there was people in Africa doing voodoo and Santeria and Candomblé. We didn't know Brazilians had... We didn't know. Okay? We didn't know, because we couldn't read and write. Had we had access to information, I don't feel like this would have went this way. And so it turned us so bad that it just kind of, it literally changed our DNA. Okay? But that's why I had to go. I said, no, this ain't it. This is not it. It's, you know. And as soon as I let go, my money got better. My clarity got better. Decision making got better. Like, I felt empowered. Like, you know, it's a difficult feeling to describe. You just have to know. It's a knowing. So I don't know about anybody else, but for me, I understand something. Money makes the world go around. You got to have it. And if Christ is the path, the consciousness, Christ actually still tells you how to get that money, but we misinterpret it big time. Yeah, and we took the tithing thing too literal, and you're letting your pastors and your ministers mislead you about the purpose of tithing and how it even began. Simply because you're just following. You're not learning things for yourself. Okay? What I understand about God is so big, you can't tell me that God is limited to just Christianity. There's no way you could tell me that. God is limitless. But that puts a limit on God. You know what I'm saying? If God is so omnipotent, or she is so omnipresent and omniscient as you say, how do you know God does not seek to show its face to different people in different ways? How do you know God can't reveal itself through Muslim, through Islam? How do you know God cannot reveal itself through Jehovah's Witnesses? How do you know God cannot reveal itself through Christianity, through Confucianism, through voodoo, through Santeria? All voodoo is not bad. You know what I'm saying? It depends on the person that's performing it. Okay? How do you know? All these other religions could all be the face of God. You know what I'm saying? And they all lead to the same place of oneness. Okay? Love. All right? They all lead to the same place. So how do you know God is not that big and infinite? The way I believe that God does not choose to show his face in all these different people's lives in different ways. You know, so there's something in every religion you can appreciate, and there's something in every religion that's a plumb lie, and it's all man-made. You know, Jehovah's Witnesses, I can appreciate their morality. They have a very strong moral compass for the most part, and I admire that. You know, Islam is very disciplined. I admire that, and very protective. I admire that. Christianity has a lot of compassion and generosity. I admire that. Hinduism has a lot of self-empowerment. I admire that. I truly do. Buddhism, I've studied Buddhism. A lot of self-empowerment. I definitely admire that. Everyday life things. You know, Hinduism and Buddhism doesn't make everything spiritual. It gives you keys to everyday living. You know, Christianity does the same thing, but Christianity has a tendency to keep your head in the clouds all day in the spiritual world, and you're not grounded in reality. And Hinduism and Buddhism keeps you grounded in reality. It's very humble. I can appreciate that. You know, Voodoo is very empowering as far as getting connected to your ancestors. Okay. Wiccan is very powerful in understanding the spirit realm, the spirit world, angels, demons, all that stuff. They all have a purpose, and it's not nothing to be afraid of. You know what I'm saying? Just learn it. That's the point of fear, is to keep you from learning, you know, what you really never needed to be afraid of and to begin with. So that's why I don't fool with organized religion. I've seen enough, I've heard enough, and it's just, for me, it was bullshit. And I'm going to say this too. I was raised, I'm kind of like a preacher's kid, so to speak. My mother passed away in 2010. One of the most hurtful moments of my life. I got some other ones. Miss her dearly. She was a very powerful woman, very spiritual woman. And a lot of people don't even know, and my mother's given me permission to be honest. You know, before she started going to church, she used to read tarot cards. I used to watch my mother do tarot cards on the bed. So she understood her roots in that aspect. However, fear led her to cling on to the church and become codependent to the church. So she went a different way. But what I can say is, because my mother's presence in my life was so powerful, it became sort of overbearing sometimes. When she passed away, it was bittersweet. Bitter because, man, I need this woman a little bit while longer. I felt like I did. But on the other side, it was sweet because her death actually freed me to be who I am. I didn't feel under her thumb of religion anymore, because she got into it and she just let her just sweep her away. She got carried away. And so every decision I made in my life, every choice, always, I had her in the back. And now I was free to make choices without that oppressive feeling of always having to answer to her for whatever choice I made. So I was free to learn some things that I was afraid to tap into. You know, when I connected to my mother after that, she told me what I've learned is very important, and to never let it go. And that she's proud of me for being so fearless. And when she's ready to return, she hopes to be as fearless like I am. That was comforting, you know. Another thing, I wanted a companion. I've kind of changed my views on marriage and stuff now, but I wanted a companion. But I realized, you know why a lot of women are single? The church. The church is keeping you single. And here's why. The church preaches to women, save yourself until God sends you a man. You want a man like Jesus. You want a man like Christ. Blah, 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 blah. And so she's getting brainwashed into thinking the man she got to be with got to be like Christ. And that puts too much pressure on a human being. So after a while, don't a man want to be bothered with that? That's too much pressure. And this is coming from a woman who she can't even be like Christ. But you want him to be like Christ. And then you turn around and he works hard for your family. And then you turn around and you give all the credit to Christ. How dare you have a husband that go out and work his ass off and you don't say thank you to him. You say thank you to Jesus made it all. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. What a slap in the face that is. That is so offensive. But the church has women thinking that, the man got to be like God, and this is why you'll never find him. That does not exist. And also, the church always preaches women staying celibate and staying to themselves until they do find a mate. But if you notice, they don't preach to men like that. The church promotes men. They allow them to get out of a relationship or a marriage, go get another one. Get out of a relationship or a marriage, go get another one. Get out of a relationship or a marriage, go get another one. The church isn't saying anything about that. However, let a woman go man to man to man and see what happens in that church. The church promotes women to take breaks in relationship, to heal themselves, to pray. They don't say that to men at all. The church requires that women keep themselves and keep their sexual desires under control. But yet, men get a pass. So when I realized that the church was also keeping me single and clouding my expectations of what a human man is supposed to be like, I'm good. So, organized religion, depending on how far gone you is, will keep you broke and will keep you by yourself. Especially if you're a woman. The church, let Jesus be your husband. All right, well, you can't make room for nobody else if Jesus is your husband. How about that? You ain't gonna get enough. Ain't nobody coming. And if you do, it's gonna be somebody you had to force into it. And that's still gonna fall apart because he gonna truly show himself to be the human being that he really is. And you're gonna be sorely disappointed because you're looking for Jesus, because your pastor told you look for Jesus. So it makes women have unfair expectations of what a human man should be. So, this is why I don't fool with organized religion. Some religions promote assault, battery, abuse, not love. And my last point is there's no way, considering what I've learned in research, there's no way you can tell me that everybody got to take the same exact path to get to God. If a person is going this way and all of a sudden you like, oh no, they can't go that way. That's not the Lord's will. Because the Bible said this. We're going to have a prayer circle and we're going to pray and we're going to do that. Do you understand that's black magic? That's what you're doing. You are imparting your will onto another person's life who you truly don't know what's going on. Like, how do you know that person is not supposed to go that way to find how do you know that? You don't know. So if you're requiring everybody to follow the same exact path to get to your God, don't that sound a little cultish to you? Everybody got to pray the same way, talk the same way, act the same way, turn this down the same way, turn that down the same way. That's a little cult. That sounds like cult activity to me. You're not letting people be themselves. You're not letting people make the mistakes they need to make so they can learn. Everybody learns differently. And then you done brought other people into it. And so when there's a collective energy, thus the scripture that says where two or more are gathered in agreement, there I am in the midst. What that means is you got this many people, all that energy is going in the same direction. You actually might affect change, okay? You might cause a delay in this person's life. You actually might make things worse. How dare you insert what you think is your will onto somebody else's life through prayer? That is a spell. That's what they call spelling. Spell, right? Spelling, what they say? Yeah, spelling the words is spell. That's why they call it spell. A lot of people that do spell work use the Book of Psalms. The Book of Psalms is nothing but an entire spell book. So you raising up this collective energy with all these people and you praying over this certain person when you truly don't know if this is their destiny. How dare you? That's a cult-like mindset. That's not love. That is not God. That is not. If everybody was the same way and did things the same way, how fucking boring would life be? Like, you mean to tell me God is that corny where he or she would create everybody to go the same exact fucking way? Like, does that make come on, y'all? Come on, man. That's why I don't like people praying for me. Don't pray for me. Don't put your mouth on me or because you don't know which way I'm supposed to go. Only me and God know that. Okay? How do you know if I got myself in trouble? Maybe that's actually a part of it. Maybe I needed to get myself in trouble. Maybe I was supposed to go through that. You know what I'm saying? But here you are thinking and you did, you trying to, no, that's cult type shit. You know what I'm saying? Take your mouth off people's destiny and praying these prayers if they have not given you permission to pray for them. Everybody don't got to get to God in the same manner. That's not, if that's what you believe, then your God is real small, and that's why your life is real small. So this is why I do not fool with organized religion. I'm comfortable with my shadow side because my Creator has helped me understand what it's for. My ancestors have helped me understand what it's for. Our ancestors are here to help us. But organized religion wants you to be afraid of them. They want you to be just limited, because if you're limited, they can keep controlling you and they keep getting that bread out of you. You feel me? Like, you shouldn't want that. You know what I'm saying? My kids, I want the best for them. However, it is my job to pray for their safety, their well-being, and that whatever situation they find themselves in, that they connect to the right ancestor, or the universe gives them what they need, or what I've instilled in them will click in and they will get themselves out of it. But, I'm not going to pray away a situation for my children because they've already been empowered to do that. I believe that. So I don't need to enforce my will on top of them. Like, what kind of, that's control. And then, for these churchgoers, ain't that what your Bible say? Your Bible say that, control is as of the sin of witchcraft and manipulation. What do you think you're doing when you do that? You know what I'm saying? So who's really performing the fucking black magic here? You know what I'm saying? Like, you having these rituals that say, here, take my body for it was broken for you, drink my blood for it was shed for you. You do that ritual every first Sunday. It's a ritual. It has an altar. It requires a symbolism of eating a person and drinking their blood. If Christ died for you and his body was broken for you, okay, he died, he rose, he's risen, so you believe. So why are we still eating his dead body and drinking his blood? Again, who the fuck's performing magic? Y'all gotta wake up. Pay attention to think. Think for yourself. So, that's not for everybody. For me, I know where I was being called away from that limited thinking. And I'm glad, because my money got better, just everything got better. That just was not for me. However, the universe loves me. The universe adores me. My ancestors love and adore me. I actually got more people for me on that side than I do on this side.